Hi Rosie, and thank you for coming. Now this week, as you know, the theme is plan how you live, and I know that some 3 years ago you made a big decision and you decided to retire early from your job as a head teacher full-time and and to think about what God might have for you next. And for many people, retiring is about the end of things, but for you it was the start of a new chapter. Can you just tell us a little bit about how you asked God about planning for that?
Okay, so yeah, I had the privilege for 34 years of working in a primary school, which I loved. It was very challenging, as you can imagine, but I had a really strong sense that that time was coming to an end, that period of my life was coming to an end. And that's brought with it a mixture of emotions, mainly excitement, wondering what God might have in store for me next, but also mixed in with it there was a bit of fear that actually there might be nothing for me. So I sort of had to engage my faith, because I do believe that God has never finished with us. So I knew that he would have something for me. So my original plan, as I was retiring early, was that I would get a new job, because we thought that financially we would need to sort of have a bit extra coming in, because I was leaving before retiring age. But I didn't actually want to just rush into something to fill a hole. I really wanted to feel that God was in a position where he was leading me into the next step. Didn't know what that would be at all. Tom and I went on a retreat, and during that weekend that we were away, I really felt that God was saying to me that actually I should look at doing something voluntarily instead of thinking of paid employment. And we looked at our finances again, and we thought actually we can manage as we are, and that of course gave me a massive choice then.
Yeah.
It was the first time in my working life that I'd actually had that huge choice available to me. And we went to church one Sunday, and I can't remember who it was or what the context was, but somebody was talking about seasons of life. And as we came out of the church, it was almost as if God said to me, "You're in autumn." And my first thought was, I don't want to be in autumn, I still want to be in summer.
Or even spring. Even better.
But actually, it immediately followed with the thought, do you know, some things are just glorious in autumn. You think of a tree in autumn with the most amazing, beautifully coloured leaves and things. And I felt that actually a Christian view of retirement is countercultural in so many ways, because rather than slowing down and stopping, you're just opening a new door. You know, in the Psalms, God talks about us being like trees that still bear fruit in old age. And so that for me was, you know, where I wanted to be. So I thought, well, I'm going to be proactive and try a few doors. Rather than waiting for God to just drop something into my lap, I would try various voluntary things, both within the church and within the local community, to see which ones I felt God was fitting me into. And so I took a year to do that. I tried all sorts of different things across the course of each week. And that was how I ended up becoming a debt coach for CAP. We'd always been interested in the work of CAP. I can remember Martin and Joe inviting John Kirkby to the church all those years ago. We were very inspired by that, but at the time I wasn't in the position to be able to act on it in any way. But now was the time when I could. And then Layla mentioned that the position of debt coach was coming up, and so I thought I would try that door, and now that's what I'm doing. But I don't see my being a debt coach as being any different to the rest of my life. I think it's a huge privilege, but it's no more important than any other way I spend my time. I want to worship God in every aspect of my life, and serving is just part of that. It's a privilege we're given. So at this stage of life, I'm just trying to live with a sense of expectancy that the Holy Spirit can use me, and I believe that he can do that whatever stage of life we're at. I was really struck by one of the stories Belinda told in our prayer course, where she came up to the front and she said she'd been walking along and she'd felt very clearly she needed to pray for a particular member of the congregation who'd left years before.
I remember that.
And that had actually borne fruit. And Revelation 4 talks about bowls of incense that being the prayers of God's people. You know, so every time we're even praying, we're making a difference. And so that is how I want to live, making a difference in the way I live and serving God.
Rosie, thank you so much. That's been really inspirational. Really appreciate you coming.